and welcome to the Core Brands podcast, where we speak with people who aren't just doing what they love, they are creating meaning for others in the process. Today, we are joined by Donna Reilly, founder and CEO of Donna Reilly People and Wellness. With over 16 years of experience in HR, Donna transitioned from a senior HR business partner in financial services to establishing her own consultancy that specializes in coaching, leadership development, well-being programs, and HR consultancy. Her mission is to help organizations invest in the most valuable asset, their people. Without further ado, let's welcome Donna. Hi, Donna. Welcome to the Core Brands podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So, as you know, on all the episodes, I like to start the conversation with my guests with an icebreaking question. And for you, I would like to ask you if you could instantly acquire or magically acquire a new skill or a superpower to bring into your work and to wellness, what would that be?
I really had to think about this one. I had about 5 superpowers, and where I landed on was more people. I feel that on our team, we really have big dreams and ambitions. And for me personally, it's like I can't reach them. They're almost there, but I can't reach them because client work takes over or other bits can take over in the business. So for me, having another Donna, or more a bigger team to allow us to get to the stuff that we really want to get, to make it proper or make more of an impact, and from a HR wellbeing or coaching perspective, that's where I'm going to land on that one. More people, please.
Yeah, I love that. And it says a lot about, your values as well and what you take as important in your work. Yeah, love that. And speaking about your values and about your work, do you want to share the story of your transition from being an HR generalist into the finance world and then becoming a business owner, a successful business owner and award-winning business owner? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So I studied HR and worked in HR and financial services for 16 years. And as part of my role, I was a business partner, so we looked after different areas and all their HR needs. I was introduced to wellbeing maybe actually 10 years ago this year. And it was kind of a newer concept then. It wasn't really in the workplace. It wasn't really something that was mentioned. And something just struck a chord with me. And what I found was that in some of the areas, if there was a high absence, it would be to remind people of the policy. And, if you're out so many days, you don't get paid anymore, or the rules around it. I was like, well, what's actually causing the absence? Would we be better trying to invest in things to bring people back to work? It's like whatever it might be, invest in their physical health, their nutritional health, their mental health. And I had a brilliant leader at the time, and he kind of said, give it a go. So we gave it a go with a very small budget and did a few different initiatives and programs on wellbeing, and it worked. So we started to see that absence dropped slightly, engagement increased slightly. But what was really interesting for me was the cost of the program was like less than 1% of the cost of absence. So it was a no-brainer. And so that I was really fortunate to be able to do that within my role. I did it in other areas that I went on to support. And then I guess my role got bigger. I was moving further away from the actual doing well-being piece. Because it's a huge role. You could have business areas with like 2,000 people. So you can't spend all your time focused on well-being when there's lots of other HR pieces that need to be given the attention and time. So I was on my 3rd maternity leave in 2019 and just thought, sure, do you know what? This works. Why don't I try and do it myself? There wasn't really many self-employed or standalone businesses that were focusing on employee well-being, and it was kind of hard then what I saw internally for people to give it the attention it needs. So I was like, right, let's give it a go. So I left towards the end of 2019 and set up my own business. Put a good bit of work into the first couple of months, and then lockdown happened, obviously, and most people's journey and story today. But what I will say, although clients and work disappeared, what it gave me was time. And time, so I was like time rich revenue per. But what it gave me was time to really listen to what was going on. So like listen to my friends who were trying to work remotely, which was a brand new concept, listening to my family members, listen to their struggles, and then being able to develop workshops that spoke to those struggles with some solutions and tips and ideas. So it did give me time to focus on content. I had one client in 2020, and that was a college where I was working to help them design a diploma. And then I started working with VHI, really thankfully still work with them today, 5 years on. They're brilliant. And they gave me a platform to deliver these workshops. And then I could say I was doing it, and that opened the doors up to other organizations. I started doing a lot more. I obviously do a lot of mental health and wellbeing and leadership coach as well. Started taking on some coaching clients, took on 2 associates early 2022, and there was a strong desire for HR. So people would say, you studied HR, can you give us a hand with, or any chance you could do? And I was like, oh, I don't know, it's wellbeing, it's wellbeing, it's wellbeing. And we kind of went, will we, won't we? So I actually, one of my associates was a HR associate, said, right, let's give it a go. And it was brilliant, because it was like going back to basics, but also being able to do the wellbeing and the coaching as well. So fast forward 5 years, and what we say we do today is anything that will encourage people's sustainability, anything that we can do to encourage that you're hiring the right people, you're onboarding them in a lovely way, and then you're retaining them through training, development, coaching, well-being, etc., etc., etc. So we, as much as people about sustainability from an environmental perspective, we look at it in the lens of people. How can we make sure your people stay with you for the long term? And how we do that, as I guess today, we would say we 3 main areas. We do HR consultancy, mainly for small businesses that are like, I have a team suddenly, what am I going to do? We do a lot of kind of culture work and people leadership development with small and bigger businesses. Still do a good bit of leadership coaching. Again, all B2B, and then our baby, the wellbeing, is still there. So we still design and deliver workshops and programs. So when I say we're just about to hire our 5th employee, which
Amazing.
is absolutely astonishing to me. I'm like, how did that happen? And we've about 30 or so associates, some that we use maybe once a year, or others we use once or twice a month or a week.
Yeah.
And we've really fortunate. I say we've worked about 190 clients today, multi-sector, multi-size. Now we've a core that we work with quite often, and then we get that lovely variety that somebody else will come along. We're like, oh, this is new, and we get to hopefully make a positive impact with them as well from a people perspective. So that's kind of where we are. I actually said to somebody earlier on, I'm not using the word busy anymore. It's full. It's a full life, because obviously outside of that, I've 3 young kids and a husband and a puppy. So life is full.
Yeah. Like I usually say, I use the word busy, but I say it's controlled busy. Everything is under control, but it's busy.
Love that. So imagine you control full or full control.
Control. Yeah. Yeah, it's the same principle. So it's busy, but it's under control.
Love that.
And was always your plan to have like a team, or, because I feel like I also started my business early 2020. Loads of business started at that time. I've started slowly outsourcing, so I don't have employees, but I do have some partners to come in and help me with areas of my work. But I haven't, and I don't even know if I will ever be ready to grow a team. And I think most people that I talk, they feel like the fear when it's time to, should I go for hiring a team, or should I just stay a solo business for the future? So you didn't plan for the team. It kind of like happened maybe with the demand, I would say.
Yeah. No, Roberta, I probably didn't even think I was going to ever run a business. So like, I'm an organic business builder. No, it was never my intention to have a team of 5 employees. But like you, I started by taking on associates or contractors, whatever it is that you want to call the individuals that support you. And went that way for a long time, and then went, you know what, actually from a cost perspective, we have so many day raters and they all have their own businesses, and which is brilliant, but I felt that we needed dedicated support that was for our business only, and that I could actually give somebody a role with capacity and fill that with work to allow me to do other stuff. So it just happened naturally that as my role got busier, I was relying more on associates or contractors, and it just got to a point where it just made sense to bring a couple of them in as employees. So one actually was an associate that came on as an employee. Another one was a brand new hire. 2 actually were associates that came on as employees. One was a brand new hire, who is coming back from maternity leave next month, and we're so excited to have her back. And now we're just about to hire for a 4th, well, including me, 5th employee. So yeah, I sometimes go, that's not my business, but I couldn't do it without them. Could not do it without them.
Yeah, can imagine. And did you face any big challenges at the beginning when you set up your business? I know it was kind of like in the middle of the pandemic, and you took it as a benefit to step back and build your courses and your programs. But was there anything that you felt like, oh my God, I had no idea that I had to do this, or,
Like I went from HR role with 120 other HR people and a head of finance and an IT department
yeah.
and all that gorgeous engine room behind me to just me. So I think for me, the best thing I had was naivety. Like I hadn't a clue how tricky it was going to be. I just assumed I get paid to do this in an organization. Of course people will pay me to do it outside that. Naivety was probably my biggest strength at that time, because if I hadn't known how tough it was going to be, I probably never would have done it, honestly. I feel that the challenges were, obviously COVID aside, right? We all know that was a massive challenge for everybody, whether you're an employee or have your own business. It was perseverance. 100% was a huge challenge. So like if you think about it, as I said, I had one client. I was working 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. on their stuff. My husband worked 9 to 5, and then I worked 5 to 9. So like we were working a 16-hour day between us, trying to manage, which I think my daughter was about 9 months old, 10 months old. So and I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Is it worth it? I'm putting too much pressure on myself. And then the clients started to trickle in. But still with that, it took massive perseverance. And as you know, and all other business owners know, the no's are hard. And you could reach out to 20 people. And I remember I used to have a list of 20 a month, and I'd reach out and I might get probably 10 you never hear from again. A couple go, oh, I'll pass it on to my HR department. And then one that might go, oh, we'll have a call. And you're like, yes. And you put your heart and soul into that call. And you're like, this. And they're like, no, not now. Or no, not the right time. You're like, oh. So perseverance. I even get pain in my stomach when I'm saying that. That perseverance, the resilience, it's tough. Like it is, particularly at the start. And I have so many calls with new business owners who are like, this is tough. Where do I get those clients? Where are they? How can I get them? And I'll always have those calls because I needed those calls at the start as well. So I guess what helped me was utilize my networks, not only formal networks, but who was in my friendship groups, who was in my family groups, who was I standing at the side of a football pitch with at the weekend? Could I chat to them about, where do you work? Do they do anything in terms of well-being? And then finding your tribe. I still to this day would say one of my top 5 things to keep me sane in this business are being with other business owners that you can just go, they get me, they understand it, they're in the same boat, or they've been there and they can share what's worked for them. Like I cannot underestimate the power of finding your tribe.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Like, can't relate. Can be very lonely, even like if you have, a team, or if you have support in your family, but having someone that is on the same, I don't really like the word journey, but it's kind of like on the same path and kind of like facing the same challenges and celebrating the similar wins. It's great, even for me and possibly for you as well, people on the same industry that are doing the same as you. It's like there's no competition, there's no room for competition, there's only room for improving ourselves and talking and discussing what's happening. And suddenly I don't feel like a weird fish because, I'm not the only one that has to deal with these type of situations. There's more people out there, and it's just the nature of running a business. Not every day it's going to be a fantastic day. So
I think you've mentioned something really important, that I think 90%, I've actually very few that I've met, more on the positive, they're not competitors. They are champions and cheerleaders. And
yeah,
I have a network that are in the exact same sector as me, probably looking for the same clients, but it just doesn't feel like that. And I'd always say there's enough business to go around. Like even in the small little island of Ireland, think of all the businesses that are here that we could support. There's so many, so there's enough for everybody. And genuinely, I can't even think of a time where that hasn't been the case, where it hasn't been a call with say somebody else who's well-being or HR that you're like, if you tried them, I don't think they're for me, they may work for you. And that's lovely too. It's absolutely lovely.
yeah, I love that. And it feels really comforting to know that that's the way it is. So yeah, love that. So in terms of, facing those challenges at the beginning, you told that networking and, reaching out to your people was important. And then from the wellness perspective, how do you bring that into your life? How do you keep sane?
I don't always, I would say. Although I have all the tools at my disposal, I know I'm a giver. So whether that be in work, outside work, which means that I probably give to myself the least. But what I will say, and this is something that we practice and preach all the time in our well-being and in our coaching, there's two things we will always say is that you have to have the self-awareness to know when things aren't good. So there's no point in us preaching about do this, do this, do this, try this. If people are going, actually, where am I starting from? What am I already at a decent place? Am I struggling? Where am I? So what I would say I've definitely fine-tuned is the self-awareness to know when I'm not firing on all cylinders, or to know when I'm not up here, to know when I've started to slip. I know what my triggers are. So I know it's like lack of sleep, or overthinking, catastrophizing sometimes, or just feeling that tension. So I kind of know what it is for me. So once I start to feel those, I'm like, right, hang on a second. Something's gone off skew. There's something that's not right. And how can I fix it? And I have like tools, which I'll say my quick wins and then my kind of deeper stuff. So my quick wins could be, I always journal every morning. That's a great way for me just to get out of my head. If I feel that during the night I've been overthinking or catastrophizing, just get it out, put it down. Just sitting outside. We have a bench in the front garden, and I just sit there in the morning for 5 minutes and breathe. But then I do know I need more than that sometimes. So I work with a phenomenal coach. I've worked with her for the last couple of months. We're continuing to work for the next couple of months. And that's a safe space for me to be very vulnerable, to offload in terms of what's really going on inside my head. And I do Reiki. I go to the gym a few times a week. So I know what will help me, but I also know when I'm not feeling that good, and to maybe ramp them up, or to increase the variety of what I'm doing, that just the exercise may not be enough. I may have to go to Reiki, or book in a session with my coach, or just get outside a bit more for some fresh air. I think I'm by no means perfect when it comes to my own well-being, but I think that's good, because then I hope that when I'm doing a workshop or a talk, I can make it more relatable, to say that I don't get this right all the time either.
Yeah, because people are not looking for perfection. They're looking for someone that can seize them and that can understand. And is there any similar kind of like traits or challenges that you can see from your position into other business owners, things that people usually struggle with? I would say that for my case is probably the overthinking, in the good way and in the bad way. So a lot of overthinking sometimes that lets me get carried away with too much positiveness in my life, that I think sometimes can be a little bit less good. And overthinking when things go wrong, like when you get that no and you're like, okay, that's it, I'm quitting the business. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just going to look for a job, I'm going to go on LinkedIn. So do you see any similar traits in entrepreneurs?
Yeah, all of the things you said. And it's interesting, we've actually done a couple of sessions with entrepreneurs in the last few months. It's just something that I feel, I think we did it for network actually, and then we did it for another women's networking group, and we're now doing it for another group of entrepreneurs. But, and it's only from when I was doing before Christmas, there's a statistic that says globally 72% of entrepreneurs have had and have mental health struggles. That doesn't surprise me. I would be surprised if it's actually not a little bit more, because your business is like your baby. It is something that you pour your heart and soul into, and it's slightly different. I can speak from my own experience when I was an employee to a business owner. There's things like financial pressure. When you potentially are an employee, it's not something that you really need to worry about because it's somebody else's role. That financial pressure can be huge, particularly if it's not something you've ever had to look at before. So I studied HR. Everything I do is people perspective, numbers. I'm like, don't really know how I fit with that, but I have to. And that's a pressure, the pressure to know that uncertainty of the future, forecasting, all that stuff. I find definitely, and I know from chatting to other business owners, that's a biggie. Cash flow, just having cash in the bank. Two other things I would say is the balance piece. Again, because we wanted to work and succeed so much, we can give it everything. No, I actually don't think there's such thing as work and life balance. I don't think they're ever going to be 50-50, but it's finding what works for you. But it's having boundaries up as a business owner. Like we normally are saying to people, have boundaries up around your personal time. Are you giving it all to others? Are you taking time for you? But I think as business owners, it's just having boundaries up around your business to know, right, there has to be downtime. There has to be time where I'm allowed to step away from it. The to-do list will always be there and will always be grown, but you have to give yourself permission to step away. Because then I think if not, that leads to that overwhelm, that overthinking. And the other thing actually interesting that we see a lot is isolation. When we're not making the effort to connect, not with clients, but with, say, other business owners or that tribe I spoke about earlier on, that can lead to that sense of isolation or overthinking. So again, similar to you, if I'm into that kind of hamster wheel of thinking and overthinking and catastrophizing, I know if I just go to a networking session or meet up with another business owner or friend who runs their business, you do leave, you kind of share and they get where you're coming from. And then that releases some of the overwhelm or the overthinking. So yeah, I think the isolation is a big one. So yeah, it's definitely around the financial pressures. We hear that a lot, and that weight of that it's on us. Like we're accountable for bringing the business in.
Yeah.
And paying the wages if you have staff, employee or work-life balance, and that sense of isolation. I'd say they're the three kind of things. So it's similar to what some employees are feeling, but I feel it's heightened because it's on us to run the business and to enjoy the business, which can be tricky then as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I can relate to those, like especially the isolation for me, because I work really well independently. I like to be on my own. I'm an only child, so I have this kind of like love for solitude. And when COVID came at the same time of the business, it was not a bother for me because I actually enjoyed being at home. My husband was working from home, happy days. Daughter was being homeschooled, happy days. When she went back to school, he went back to the office, and I see myself running the business alone from home. I actually went into therapy. I'm not even gonna lie. It was, for a person that used to be alone and loved to be alone, it was so difficult. And that's when I started joining networks, because I felt like I need more people in my life. I need to share ideas. I need to feel like I'm normal, like this is all normal. And it was the best thing that I've done. It was taking that step, but it was really hard. The isolation definitely was really, really hard.
And if you think about it, if you're an employee, you may be somebody who seeks isolation or not seeks alone time, but you'll always have to come back to your team at some stage, whether that be a team day or a team meeting. You do have the variety, although you may have preference for one over the other, will have that sense of connection at some part in your role. So I do feel as business owners, we need to consciously make time to connect with others. Even if we love working by ourselves, it's just to kind of get out of our own heads sometimes and to just, have vulnerable conversations with others.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any success stories you can share of the impact your business has made in anyone's life? It doesn't need to be a company, or it can be just a solo entrepreneur. Any success story or any impact you want to share?
Like, I think when people think of success in the business, it's like, oh, you've won awards, and don't get me wrong, they're phenomenal, and a lot of work goes into them, and we're 100% grateful for them. And we get like feedback forms from all of our programs, and would you recommend this person? Would you attend to this course again? And they're always really good. But for me, it's the individual impacts, kind of similar to what you were saying. It's the emails or the comments or the conversations with the ones that might be at a workshop or we might be supporting. So say I was doing a conference last week, speaking at a conference to customer experience, contact center leaders, employees. It was like a conference for their industry, and chatting about well-being and the role of leaders in well-being. It was like a quick half an hour talk, and this is what I mean about the impact, because somebody consciously took the time, a man took the time to email me after that and said, thanks for the talk, I really enjoyed this, and actually I'm going to commit to doing this differently in my life. And I was like, oh, that's it, job done. So that was one person from like 120, but that to me is the impact. And I know one of our HR consultants is working, we get this a lot because we work with small HR businesses, and to say like you build your business because you're passionate about something, and then you suddenly have a team, you're like, oh, what do I do? So we support like a lot of really small businesses, and we got an email. Actually, one of the clients, she was paying her invoice and actually sent an email with it to say, just want to say thanks again to one of the team for support me on this. I feel confident. I feel like I know what I'm doing. I could feel if that happened again, I'd be able to manage it myself. Fab. Like, so I think it's, and obviously with coaching, when you see your client getting that aha moment, that they're like, oh, that's what I need to do. Now I know. And that's not from us telling them, because as a coach, you don't. We
Yeah,
just ask questions and
yeah,
challenge and poke a little so that you can find the answer yourself. So it's definitely the individual emails, stories, aha moments, rather than, which I will say again, extremely grateful for the awards and the positive feedback on the programs. But when you know at the end of the day that you've made an impact into one person's life, routine, career journey, like, that's lovely. That's the why.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And what's next for Donna Reilly People in Wellness?
So the
What's
first
the big,
the
what's
first word that came into my mind was sleep.
after sleep?
You know what? As I said at the start, there's a lot of things that when I answer about my super skill that I get is that more of me. We've had a really full few months, which is great. So we know now that kind of February to May, a lot of people want to focus on their people side of their business, kind of quietens down now to around the end of August, and it will ramp up again. And I can already feel, what are we, 27th of May, that I'm going, oh, bit of space. It's amazing. So I'm like, growth, growth, growth. So the plan is growth. So growth in our team, which I've mentioned already, which we're super excited about. And then growth in terms of, there's a few key projects that we are going to work on over the summer months to get us up to the next level. So we're working to introduce a CRM system, like, so proper organization. CRM is very grown up and very serious.
Amazing.
But to actually go, what's our approach to attracting clients and pumping that into a sales strategy, a marketing strategy, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one thing that we're doing. We're also looking at how we can automate a lot of what we do. A lot of what we do is bespoke. And I don't think we've ever delivered the same session twice without making tweaks to it for the client, which is great, but it's very time consuming. So we're looking at how we can automate some of our processes. And what is the other thing? How we can kind of create efficiencies around tracking our time, tracking our capacity, and just doing things a bit smarter. So we're kind of getting ourselves ready to level up to the next stage, to be able to open the doors and go, come on in. Because we're doing things so well in the background that we've more time to spend with our clients. So that's kind of the plan at the moment.
That's great. And one last question. How do you see the landscape of wellness in the companies? Do you feel like, for when you started 10 years ago, 16 years ago, up until now, is the landscape changing much? Where do you think the direction is going?
A really good question. And actually, if you asked me this time last year, I would have given you a different answer, because it's constantly evolving.
Changing.
I feel that it's not going anywhere. Companies, organizations, leaders, CEOs know that well-being has to be part of the people agenda forevermore. Right? And I think that's one of the very small positives that COVID gave us. It made it part of the conversation. We're breaking stigma on mental health. We're encouraging a focus on well-being for everybody. I think there was a shift last year for me where not that it wasn't still there and important, but there was a huge focus on people leader development. Remember that thing we used to do pre-COVID, where we actually put our leaders on courses and gave them skills?
Manager
Yes.
skill. Yeah,
Yeah.
I done that. Yeah.
So there was a bit of a row back to that last year, and we spent so much time delivering those sessions, and we still are into this year, but the focus on wellbeing, I feel, has come back massively on track. Like, say, even last week, I did 3 guest speakers, and they were all on wellbeing. And so that was to an American company, the conference with the customer experience, and to a HR team that run a technology company. So they were having conferences and all had wellbeing on their agenda. Like, that wouldn't have happened like 10 years ago, 100%. So it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. What I feel is happening now is that it's part of the DNA of the business. It's not something we go, we're a mental health day in October, we better do something. Or it's National Workplace Wellbeing Day in April, what will we do? It just happens. It's part of the culture. It's wellbeing is just something that comes naturally, as we would plan anything else that we do from a business perspective. It's just part of our strategic planning. It's not an add-on. It's not an initiative that we think of once or twice a year. It's part of our DNA. So that, to me, is that kind of utopia. But I feel we can get there. Absolutely. I feel some companies are already there, and others are just trying to find their way with it.
But don't you feel like after COVID, and I know we've been talking a lot about COVID because I feel like it was a turning point, kind of like, wasn't it? So we can't ignore it. I feel like after COVID, the companies were really worried and putting a lot of focus on well-being. Do you feel like then after a while, this is all kind of like getting forgotten a little bit, or do you feel like they keep going? I just get a sense that there was a time where there was a lot of focus on well-being, but now we're kind of like slowly and very slowly going back to the old ways.
I think there's a shift in the focus. So I think if I take leaders, for example, during COVID, people were saying COVID so much. Today, they and afterwards, they were. I have so much empathy for them because, and that kind of management layer, middle management, senior management, they were keeping the lights on, but suddenly they had this extra responsibility to check in with their team from a well-being perspective. And then to do that, the companies had lots of initiatives or programs. What I feel now is, and it's actually the way I think it should be, is that an organization offers well-being, but it's a responsibility of the employees to want to invest in their own well-being. So I think that's where we've got to. It's not, are you okay, what you need, how are you from a mental health perspective. I think that intensity has reduced, but there's still lots of different initiatives available, but it's up to the employees to want to invest in their own well-being. That sense of you need to do it, or
taking ownership.
Yeah, the ownership's kind of shifted slightly, I would say.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But it hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah, that's a great point, Donna. Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, so where can people find you? How they can connect with you?
They can find me on, I'm going to totally get this wrong, but
I'll put the links on the show notes anyway.
So we're on at Donna Reilly Wellness on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. TikTok is at Donna Reilly HR Wellness. And then you can, our website, donnareillywellness.ie, and you can reach out to us through that channel as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Donna, for your time. It was lovely to chat with you. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Roberta. Thank you so much.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Core Brands Podcast. I hope you found insight, inspiration, or even a little nudge to take action in your own brand journey. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who would find it valuable. And if you want to keep the conversation going, you can find me over on Instagram at Design by Roberta. Thanks for tuning in, and until the next time.